Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Zoe and I'm so happy that you clicked on today's video. So it is almost May, meaning it's officially time for another TBR video, aka a video where I basically just tell you a bunch of books that I'm interested in but probably won't get to within the next month. Such is the life of a mood reader. I typically only read like 2 to 3 books on my TBR, sometimes a little more if I'm lucky, but yeah, I'm not the best at sticking to it, but I still really enjoy making these videos because I think they're just a really fun way to kind of chat about what I am wanting to read at the time, and also just kind of giving myself a selection of books to choose from when I really don't know what to read, which seems to happen a lot. I tried to pick several different genres for today's video, but as per usual, most of them are romances, and part of that is because I'm a very seasonal reader. I read with like whatever the vibe of the season is, and romance is so spring to me that is mostly what I'm gravitating towards at the moment, so that is what we have the most of today. But I'm really excited to just talk about all the books that I want to read, so let's just get right into it. The first book is Romantic Comedy by Curtis Sittenfeld. This was my book of the month pick for April, and unfortunately I didn't get to it, but I'm really hoping to in May so that I can still read it while it's fresh and new and not too many people have read it. If I'm gonna be honest, I picked it mostly because I thought the cover was really pretty, but since then I've heard a lot of really great reviews about it, mostly 5 stars, which makes me very excited. All I really know about it is it's about this like fictional SNL show, and there's some romance to it. Obviously it's called romantic comedy for a reason. But the one thing I'm unsure about is apparently part of the book takes place in 2020 during COVID, and I'm not really sure how I'm gonna feel about reading about that, but I'm still intrigued. I want to find out, so I hope to read this next month. Another book I would really like to read is Dial A for Aunties. This one is kind of a cozy murder mystery about a girl who goes on a blind date and ends up actually killing the date, so she has to call in the help of her aunties to get help hiding the dead body. And I've heard this book is just hilarious. It's so cute and sweet, and I think it sounds really good. It sounds very like spring getting into summer to me, so I'm really hoping to read it and have a good time. The next book I'm hoping to read would probably be a buddy read, which is so exciting to me, and it is Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. I have had this on my TBR for so long, it's not even funny, and I just keep putting it off, and I couldn't tell you why. But I've loved almost every Christina Lauren book that I've read. I think they are just such great writers, and I'm really excited to finally read this one, see what all the hype is about, because this is clearly their most popular book, and everybody seems to love it, so I'm really looking forward to reading this one. Next, we have a YA fantasy book that I'm really excited about, and it is Shatter Me. I have had this book for years. I actually read it back in 2015, and at the time I gave it 5 stars. I don't know what I would rate it now because I rate things a lot differently, but I'm excited to read it and find out. I've had several friends trying to convince me to read this for quite some time now, and I think I'm finally convinced. So the hope is to read this one by the end of May so that I can spend June reading the rest of the series. And I'm so excited because all I ever hear about is the Shatter Me series, and I want to understand the hype and finally have read it, so very much looking forward to this. Next, I have a couple rereads that I am so excited for. The first one would come as no surprise. It would be When in Rome and Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams, because it's finally going to be Practice Makes Perfect release month, and I could not be more excited. So I can't wait to get my copy. I bought a signed personalized one, which is going to be so exciting and fun. And I want to reread this and Practice Makes Perfect and annotate both of them and just relive them because they are some of my favorite books in the entire world. I love them so much and I miss them. So I'm excited to revisit Rome, Kentucky and read about these characters again. And then I have another reread, and that is Every Summer After by Carly Fortune, because I want to reread this book before Meet Me at the Lake comes out in May, which I also plan to read. So I want to read both Carly Fortune books in May, and I'm so excited. I'm really looking forward to rereading this because I love Sam and Percy so much, like with my entire heart. and Sam is one of my favorite book boyfriends. This book is just the most summer book ever. It's just so perfect. So I'm really excited to read this and the new one. They're both romances and they both take place at a lake. So I'm very, very excited to read them. Then I have a book that I have again been putting off for the longest time, and that is Take Me Home Tonight by Morgan Matson. Morgan Matson is hands down my favorite YA author. I love her so much. She writes YA contemporary fictions and she's just the greatest at it. Like every book I read by her, incredible. So this one was her last book that she put out. It's been out for a couple years now and I've avoided reading it because I don't want to be out of Morgan Matson books because, you know, you can't read books for the first time again. So I think it's finally time to read it. I'm really excited. It's about two girls who are best friends. They're in high school, they're theater kids, and they go to New York City for one night with no cell phones and kind of just have this crazy adventure that tests their friendship and kind of just makes them question what they want out of their future. And I think it's gonna be so good. I cannot wait to read this. Literally any Morgan Matson book is incredible, but then add the fact that it's in New York City. Yes, I'm going to love it. I know it's gonna be 5 stars and I can't wait for it. Then I want to read People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry because I'm trying to work my way through her books because all I've read is beach read, but I love beach read so much. I adore January and Gus. I think about them all the time. So I'm very excited to read another book of hers. I am very excited to read this one because I've heard it's just incredible. I always hear people talk about Poppy and Alex, and I almost feel like I could like this one more than Beach Read because of the premise. I think it's just gonna be so good. It's so summery, and I just can't wait to read it like outside in the warm weather. It's gonna be so good. Then I want to read Every Last Word by Tamara Ireland Stone. This one I've had on my bookshelf for several months, and it's been on my TBR for even longer. And I recently read a review that made me decide that I want to read it now. So here we are. It's about a girl in high school who has OCD and she is very closed off, doesn't tell her friends about it. She's just very like, keeps it all to herself. And then she ends up joining this group therapy, I think, where she meets other people who are similar to her and have other mental health struggles and kind of just forms this friend group. And also I believe there's a side of romance, but I think it's gonna be so cute. It sounds very like uplifting, I guess, and we love a book with some good mental health representation, so I'm very excited to read it and see what I think. Then I want to read One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. This is another book that takes place in New York City, so I already feel like more warm to it and like I'm gonna like it more just because of that. But I read Red, White, and Royal Blue back in February and absolutely loved it. I just flew through it. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one. It's a romance. Again, it takes place in New York City and I believe there's like a time loop in it. So there's some like magical realism and I've heard it's really, really good. So I'm very excited to finally get to it. Another book I want to read is actually a sequel and it is A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor by Hank Green. This is the sequel to An Absolutely Remarkable Thing, which I read almost 2 years ago and I still think about it all the time because it was just that crazy and that good. It's genuinely one of the weirdest books I've ever read in my life, but it's so good, like so good. It's sci-fi, it's about these robots that take over the world and there's like a social media element to it because our main characters become YouTubers, but the first one ended on the biggest cliffhanger and I need to know what happens next. This has been on my shelf for too long. I've been avoiding it because this is the only other book Hank Green's written. So once I'm done with his books for now, unless he writes another one. So I am sad on that level, but I'm so excited to find out what happens after the end of the first book. So really looking forward to this one. It feels like a very like May springtime read to me and I just can't wait. Another book I want to read is Death on the Nile by Agatha Christie. This would be my second book by her. I read another one back in November, I think, and I really liked it. It was a good murder mystery. I really liked the writing style. The only thing I didn't love was that I figured out who the murderer was like very early on in the book. That aside, I really liked it and I really want to read another book by her. So I've chosen Death on the Nile. This just feels very spring turning into summer to me. I don't know why, but that's the vibe I get. I love murder mysteries. I love any type of mystery book in general, so I think this is gonna be so good. And then I can watch the movie, which is also really exciting. Another book I want to read is Waiting for Tom Hanks by Carrie Winfrey. This one, first off, has just the cutest cover ever. I'm just obsessed with it, and like a lot of the other books I've talked about, it has a very light pastel cover, which screams spring, makes me want to read it more than I would any other time of the year. So I'm very much hoping to get to it. This is just your typical romance. I believe it takes place in like the movie scene, like it's a director and an actor or something like that. And it's apparently very like Nora Ephron-esque. It talks about Sleepless in Seattle on the back, which I have not watched. Maybe I'll watch it in preparation or after reading the book, I don't know. I'm just excited for it because it's been highly recommended to me and I think it's gonna be so cute. It's very short, I think I'll fly through it, and it'll be perfect for the middle of spring. And then the last book I would like to get to is actually an ARC from NetGalley, and it's called On Earth as It Is on Television. I don't know too much about this one because I honestly don't even remember requesting it. But I started it. I got one chapter in and it's really good right from the start, but I put it aside until next month and I can't wait to continue it. It's apparently some sort of sci-fi, like contemporary book, and there's apparently some first contact story in it, and I'm really excited for it because I'm not the biggest sci-fi reader, but occasionally when I do read it, I really enjoy it. So really excited to get to that one. It'll be good and I can't wait to review it. So I actually have no idea how many books that was. I just kind of made a list right before I made the video of books that I was interested in, but those are the books that I would like to get to in May. We're gonna see how many I get to. Who knows, it could be a lot, it could be literally like one. I'm just really excited to eventually read all of those books, and yes. At the time that I'm posting this, I will be on my way to a fun little weekend trip that I'm hoping to vlog, so expect another vlog coming your way. Very excited about it. It's gonna be fun. So if you have read any of these books or want to read any of them, I would love to hear about it. Also, if you have any really exciting books on your TBR, feel free to let me know. If you want to like, comment, or subscribe, that literally helps me so much. And if you want to be friends, all of my socials will be linked below as always. So that was the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in the next one.